Are we ready? Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I call this meeting of Independent School District 544 to order. Clerk, can you establish a quorum for us, please?
Certainly. Herbie Anderson.
Present.
Natalie Knutson.
Here.
Melanie Cole.
Present.
Matthew Lemke.
Here.
Missy Hermes here. Stephen Begasa.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll
Second.
I'll take Natalie. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda passes. There are no acknowledgements for today, so we will move on to reports, and we have Carrie Thompson here to talk about the curriculum coordinator, who is our curriculum coordinator, not to talk about it, for our FY21 curriculum purchases.
Are you okay if I sit down, or do you want me to stand up?
That is just perfectly fine.
Okay. This present school year, we have a group of elementary teachers, K through 6, who have been working on updating our reading and language arts curriculum, planning to put something in place for September of 2020. And their names are on the top of one of the attachments that was sent to you. And I want to acknowledge them and thank them on behalf of the district and our community. They put in a lot of extra time. Those teachers are Trista Kitzman, Sue Moore, Karen Trosvick, Taylor Norberg, Carol Ringel, Dan Sternberg, Becky Greenagle, Mike Emmerhold, Guy Grebe, Derek Hansen, and Angela Larson. In the implementation spreadsheet that you got, it's not a spreadsheet, the plan, you can see quite a summary of the work that they have done. One thing that we've been working with this year is that the state at the same time is working to update their standards. And they've had 2 drafts out. We have studied those and we've responded to the state with feedback as they have asked. The 2 drafts are very different from each other. And I don't know what it will be the 3rd time, but the 3rd draft will be out in about May. And then the legislature will have that act on that. And then we will have about 3 years until they get the tests in place that will follow this set of standards. But we're very aware of what is there, and it has made our job to find a curriculum to recommend that are interesting. Both of the drafts they put out are close to the Common Core, and then they've added some Minnesota things to it. So that's one thing that's uncertain, but we cannot. We will not have an opportunity to give any input anymore. So we will deal with what they have, and we believe we've recommended products that will work well for them. Looking at the implementation sheet, I'm down on the bottom of the process that this committee has gone through. One thing we did was review all those standards that I just mentioned. We've done some research about what would be evidence-based practices for the best instruction for reading and writing, language, and speaking. We quickly determined that we had a need for more technology in particularly our lower elementary rooms, and that's a part of a parallel recommendation. We received reports and presentations from 5 different vendors after we had chosen which ones we would like to invite. We've discussed things with other area schools. We've communicated regularly through the year to the teachers at grade level meetings so that they're up to date with what we're doing, and we've gotten feedback from them. We've prepared a list of items that are recommended for purchase that includes the replacement of the reading curriculum and technology. And then we've done some planning for professional development. I want to talk about the Wonders curriculum that the group is recommending for approval. And if you would like to look at these, I'll just leave these here so you can glance through them later. These are samples from the 5th grade, because it's what I could get my hands on easily today in this building. But I think you'll find them quite interesting. It's an anthology that it probably looks like a typical reading book, except there's much more variety of the reading selections than any of us would have had when we were learning to read. There is much more informational text. That's what we used to call nonfiction. And it's very supportive of both science and social studies, those kinds of selections. There are also biographies and personal narratives. There are lessons on poetry, drama, persuasive text. That's one of the things that children have to learn to write. That's a requirement in the standards. And it has to be some time teaching them to write persuasively. So I think you'll appreciate the variety of pieces that are in there to read. There's also a much heavier emphasis on writing in this curriculum than we have in the past. And whatever students read about, they need to write about. And when you write about something, that helps you to understand what you know, and it becomes very evident what you do not understand when you try to write about it. So that's the philosophy between the heavy writing. Well, this is the tangible textbook. It's a plethora of materials that are available electronically for teachers, presentation things of different levels on the lessons. There are games and activities for students. There are assessments there, and if the teacher assigns them correctly as an assessment, the program will even correct those things and record the scores for teachers. So if they work smart, they can really make use of some of those kinds of things. Students can have access to this at home. Parents can have access to it. It's pretty transparent in that way. But the group did feel that it was important to have a book in students' hands so that they really understand what a book is, and front to back and process, rather than just sliding. They live in a world where they have to do both. So there is a book. The bigger part, though, that I can't show you is all the electronic resources. It's much beyond the textbook. One of the things that attracted this product to our group is that it has components about social emotional learning. The literature is tied to those things. I have talked to the vendor, and it's not enough in there to say this is also our social emotional learning piece. But it's a wonderful complement to whatever the district they wish to do, and it's helpful to children to have literature that includes those pieces that they can think about how it might be for other people. So that was interesting. There are components, pieces in here to serve English language learner students, and one of our committee members is a teacher of English language learning, and she was extremely pleased with what was there, and that she can use what's there to do further with her students as she works with them. She didn't feel she needed an additional product. Well satisfied. The piece does come with suggested instruction for using Wonder's product, but also allows enough flexibility so that if teachers want to add things to it, they can, and it doesn't detract from what's there. For example, our kindergarten through 4th grade teachers will be doing guided reading, where they work with small groups of students at their own level, and other students can be doing many of the other things that come with this program. Our 5th and 6th grade teachers, however, are not so interested to do guided reading as they are to do literature circles. They would rather have a larger discussion group and have students reading something similar, and work with small groups in that, but it's a different way of teaching, using literature circles rather than small groups who are working on disassociated things. So that's one thing that we can do. There are many tools for teachers. They have something called the data dashboard that keeps a record of what students have individual grade assessments. There is quite a bit of professional development for teachers online, if they choose to take a part in it. Many different topics. They can do it independently, or we could use it in groups of teachers. Learning modules, coaching things from the authors, things about social emotional development, things about working with ELL students, how to advance writing components with your students, many of those kinds of things. Another thing that our group did was work on some professional development plans, and we're tentatively planning for a full day of all our elementary teachers, either August 25th or 26th. I think it's a Tuesday or Wednesday, and those will be live trainings where the vendor will come out and train on using the technology and using what's there. I don't have confirmation on the particular date yet, but we've put those dates over to them, and we're asking them to plan to come to us for a full day of training. And then they will do follow-ups, probably with webinars or other kinds of things that we need during the school year after we started with it, and there get to be even more questions that you want to know that you didn't think of the first time. If you look at the end of the implementation plan, those are the recommendations that are coming from this committee. They're recommending for approval of Wonders as our main reading curriculum. We have worked this through with the District Curriculum Review Advisory Committee, and I haven't been able to meet with them now in the last couple of weeks because we know that things are away. But I did ask them electronically if they would support this before it came to the board, and all of those who responded were affirmative, but I will say not everyone responded. The responses were quite positive, very positive. These teachers are stepping out a little out of their responsibility, and they're recommending that the district hire someone who's dedicated to social emotional learning. And that really isn't their responsibility under reading and language arts, but they feel it is extremely important to develop our students, to help with behavior, to help with mental health, and they just wanted that plug put in here. They think it's important. They'll do what they can using this product, but they really are recommending more attention on that. And that might be something that you'll grapple with too as we get back to strategic planning. Not sure how that'll play out. Please keep that on your radar. The English language learning teachers are interested in a little longer session daily with their students. They don't feel like they have enough minutes face-to-face with those students. So that would be another issue to have enough minutes. The one thing we have not closed in on is the materials that we would use for interventions, like Title I or special ed. We did have a subgroup of this committee that went to Moorhead to look at the product that they have used for several years called Level of Literacy. And they were very pleased about it, and we were going to meet last week, and we just had to put that aside. So I can't confirm exactly the product that we are looking for special ed and for intervention title. There is a side product in development that comes from the same company as Wonders, that's an intervention product, but they will not have it until September. So for those needs, I have suggested a placeholder in the budget. Just know that we know we need to tend to it, but we do not know what would be best for them right now. We need to continue to do some work for those two groups of students. They're recommending that we have Chromebook cart ratio of 1 cart to be shared by 2 teachers in kindergarten up through 4th grade. And they're recommending a 1-to-1 Chromebook allotment for 5th and 6th graders. The technology requests go beyond that, but I'm only reporting on kindergarten through 6th grade right now because that was the group that was working on reading and language arts. They're recommending that we maintain our ANSYS RTI services. Those are for students who are not special ed, but they're not at grade level either in reading. So they want those maintained. We have one more year, the coming year, on our present application, so we know we're good for that. And then we have to apply again. We have to apply for that every 2 years. They're also interested in continuing support for Title I, and that's something that we've had in place for many years, but the funding for that seems to get smaller and smaller over time, much less now than we had several years ago. They want to be sure that we have products and instruction and delivery that provide challenge for all students, not just the average middle type student, but we don't want to forget them either. The K through 4 is interested in even some additional level readers, so they could have little booklets that are on level, beyond, a little below, and for English language learners as well. So all students can be reading the same, they can look at the same pictures and read the same content, but it's more set at their reading level. The other thing that they're quite interested in at the local level is to maintain some cursive writing instruction. That is not in the new state standards that we've seen. It is not in Common Core, but there is enough research out there to show that the movement of the hand is something to do with brain development, and it does help children to see a group of letters as a unit, like I-E. That's different when you have to write it than when you keyboard it. It helps them to see families of letters put together, and they stroke it out in one movement, and it helps the psychomotor to see that when they're learning how to read. So they would like that we continue some cursive instruction. There is enough in Wonders to be able to do that. We're not looking for another product. We just want that to remain to be important, particularly in the elementary years. And the instruction does fade away as students get older and become more adept on the computer. There also is some research that shows that people who write their notes in cursive rather than keyboarding when they're listening to something, it requires you to quickly summarize, because you can't write down every single word. You can maybe type a little faster, but if you're going to write it, you have to think, you have to synthesize it as you go, and that does help with memory. Although that was not the main interest in this particular group, because the children are so young, they're not taking notes on lectures, so to speak. And then another idea that they had, that they wanted passed on, was in professional learning communities, they would recommend in the future that we allow professional learning communities to be, to focus and be driven by grade or subject, so that they could work more on their instructional methodologies, they could share more things with each other, that they could really talk about instruction rather than theoretical things. So that's an idea to be considered as we plan for the future. Questions?
Does this group of language arts professionals tie the special ed dyslexia testing into the curriculum in any way, shape, or form?
They're not, I would say this group is not really aware of dyslexia testing. They don't do it. In the past couple of years when our district has to do that, we've been able to use our MWE math testing to identify groups of students who may be there, and then we remove them in the special ed path. But the classroom teachers really, they administer the math test, but they don't think of it as looking for dyslexia.
So nothing in the language arts curriculum kind of assesses that or tries to read that out as a barrier to languages? And part of what I'm getting at is statewide statistic, of course, of how many students leave third grade without reading at a third grade level. And so what about these proposals will address that?
We need to finalize what we're recommending for interventions, title, special ed. And those things happen through all those grades. And we've looked at things, but we haven't really found a product that will give us some common movement through the grades rather than having haphazard lessons.
And I had one more question, but I lost it. Will AR continue in its same format, or will our reading curriculum change that?
We've had some discussion about that, but mostly at the secondary level. Presently, we use AR in grades 3 through 9, and our high school teachers are recommending that we back off in grade 9. It's too long, it's too many years, and they too would like to do literature circles and different kinds of reading with their students. But at this time, 3 through 8 still want to continue that.
The staff does?
Yes, the majority of the staff, it's not unanimous.
So how would AR supplement this curriculum if it's talking about, there's quite a bit of reading in this curriculum already in the AR on top of that? Is that beneficial to the kids to have another curriculum when they can just maybe focus on the one?
AR is a practice program. It's not our curriculum. It's a practice. And the more you practice anything, of course, you get better.
There's no practice type stuff in this curriculum?
There is, but, there is practice, of course. But you know that people who are well-read have a lot of content knowledge in their head. And they can transfer that. They can problem solve, and their logic is different, and they want students to know as much as they can, even when some of it is processed rather than hard content.
Sure.
AR is a practice program, and that's been misunderstood by some people that think that's the curriculum. No, it's not. It's extra practice.
Right.
And we have come so that we've learned how to set goals for children that aren't all the same for everybody. Some need more practice, some need different practice, some need practice in different genres. You can't just work on science fiction for 3 years all the way through. That it has to be very individualized to meet the needs of students.
And, just given the environment we're in now, where who knows if we're even back? Who knows? No one knows anything. Is this adaptable for e-learning pretty well? Has that been considered at all in reviewing?
The impetus is for plugging reading in right now was not necessarily for all e-learning, but that's part of our world.
Yeah, right.
We have to teach children to use those things. We have to use technology to our very best advantage, but I'm not coming to wanting this product because we're all going to be e-learning forever and ever. That's not it.
No, it's just
But
something to think about.
Yes,
That's all.
yes, it can be used that way. It also can be used with very little technology, depending on what you want for your students.
Carrie, can I just ask you quick on the online professional development piece? Do you think that this was an enhanced part of it? I mean, in the sense that other curriculum that we've implemented, that it's more, I know you brought it up that, staff can go to it, and I know we have a couple of professional development days that we're picking one. Is it better than other ones that we've picked, or more enhanced in the sense that it's more resources for teachers than other curriculum, or,
We haven't had a new reading curriculum for almost 10 years.
Sure.
So the fact that there are things there, a library of things that we can take advantage of, that's a great improvement.
Sure. but I'm just thinking on other curriculum subjects that we have implemented here recently in the past years. Is it seem to be more of an emphasis that when people are coming now are bringing that to the
Oh,
forefront?
yes, it's exploded. The other thing that has exploded and what they offer is assessment.
Sure.
Everybody wants to do assessment, assess. And there's lots of that in there. And we already have quite a bit, so that's something we talked about. We're going to need to think about really how much assessment do we need to do and what of it is most useful.
Other questions from the board at this time? Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm just going to leave these things here, and then I'll come down to the meeting and pick them up.
Thank you. Our next report is from our Superintendent Drake.
All right, good evening. I will start out with just a segue from Carrie's report on the curriculum adoption. Typically or historically in the district, the technology purchases were aligned to the curriculum department that was under review and making a selection. This year we changed that process up slightly, but I would say still in a very complementary way. So the district coming into this fiscal year had approximately 1,100 Chromebook units spread throughout the high school and into the elementary buildings. And discussions last fall had begun in earnest about, is it time to look to a one-to-one model instead of having a cart model which needed to be shared, etc. And sometimes a teacher that might have the cart wouldn't be using it that day, and it becomes somewhat inefficient at times to be trading and sharing. So after a lot of discussion, we decided that it did make sense to move into a one-to-one type model for grades 5 through 12, and grades K through 4 would essentially have a Chromebook cart that they would share by every two teachers or sections. What this does for the district is in future curriculum adoptions, you're going to see nearly all of them have an electronic or digital component to them. And so this will prepare the district to access that curriculum. It allows more equity in terms of all students having access to curriculum and information in their homes. So hopefully that levels the playing field among all students. It allows more flexibility in the terms of how we use our space. It potentially would give KSS the ability to take out a computer lab, because all students would have Chromebooks, and use that as a classroom space as more and more students come into KSS, and we're looking at additional classroom space to meet the ongoing growth. And so in all these facets, it really made sense to go in this direction. Now with the COVID-19 pandemic, that really changed the landscape for us in just a matter of a few weeks. And so fortunately, we had been talking about this as a district and had been making preparations to go into this model for fiscal year 21. And given the needs to quickly adapt to a distance learning model, we were able to order the units earlier from the company. And I will say they were extremely responsive. We had just over 1,000 units delivered in the span of, it was about 48 hours, 72 hours for sure. I think we ordered them on a Monday morning before noon, and I believe we had them arriving for sure. It was either noon Wednesday or noon Wednesday. So we're very thankful for that. Along with that, I can't say enough about the work from our tech support team and other support staff that were brought in. This was kind of a central station in terms of taking the old carts apart so that the units that used to be in the carts could be redeployed to individual student use, and preparing the new units for distribution as well. That production in here has now, we've taken those units that are ready to be assigned. They're now sitting in the Gold Gym, and they're ready for pickup beginning tomorrow through invitation, and we will expand that even greater in the next week, where we believe we will have virtually all the units then out into the hands of the students, and will certainly be really a strong asset with the plans that we've made over the last 7 days on how we're going to educate students potentially through the end of this school year. So with that, I have a number of reports to give, but I'll kind of conclude the one-to-one portion unless people have any questions. All right, then with the board's permission, I will move into the report that's the enrollment and ESSA plan summary. And I did, this was a lengthier report that Kristen Toole prepared with lots of details, and so I did give you a copy that should be at your desk. I'm just going to go through a few highlights of the report. First of all, the target enrollment for the ALC is 64 students, 4 classes, 16 students per section. MDE suggests class size and alternative programs be roughly at a 12-to-1 student to teacher ratio. To be eligible, so there are requirements. Students can't simply just choose to go ALC, but they have to meet at least one of a series of high school graduation incentive criteria to be eligible. The current enrollment at the ALC is 72 students, and they had a high this year at one point of 82. The previous practice for the ALC was to refer students to the ALC after they had failed 6 or more classes, which Ms. Toole pointed out that's an entire semester's worth of credit. This year the focus has been enrolling students earlier at 1 or 2 course failures and not waiting until the student is a semester behind. This has impacted our enrollment with an increased number of freshmen and sophomore students. And then I'll just refer to the table at the very bottom, but that shows some pretty marked differences between some of the challenges that the ALC population might face compared to that of our students enrolled at KSS. Then flipping to the next page, the 2020 class at the Area Learning Center has the potential to be the largest graduating class in the last many years, with 29 prospective graduates at this date. On average, the prospective graduates had been enrolled at the ALC for a total of 4.6 semesters, so basically 2.5 school years. She does point out that if the ALC could increase the number of class sections offered to 5 throughout the school day, that would increase capacity for enrollment to 80 students. Then we'll get into the ESSA School Improvement Summary. In July 2019, ALC began implementing a 3-year school improvement plan to raise its graduation rate from 33.3% in 2018 to 50% for 2020. At the time the plan was implemented, the root cause of the graduation rate identified by ALC staff was unsupportive school policies. 3 strategies were identified for intervention to address unsupportive school policies. One was the MERS 2.0, Minnesota Early Indicator Response System. Number 2 was revising school policy regarding credit toward graduation requirements. And number 3 was making data part of an ongoing cycle of instructional support. So there are 2 MERS teams that meet monthly, and she reports that the ALC is ahead of its schedule regarding the MERS 2 implementation, and they are on track for the remaining strategies. So basically with the MERS plan, they looked for markers that would indicate that a student might be struggling. And so they basically have discussions about that student and have set up a committee that would help support those students' needs through various strategies and implementing different support systems. The second strategy implemented is the revising of school policy or procedure regarding earning credit towards graduation requirements. Starting this school year, the assignment history for courses that had a student had previously failed were reviewed. If a student had any assignments that were given a grade above an F, the student was given credit for that assignment. So in other words, if they'd taken the course more than one time, each assignment that had a passing grade was factored in and it was done cumulatively, instead of having the student have to retake every single item of a repeat course. Then they also adjusted the passing rate to 60% to match that of the Fergus Falls Public School District. They did note that they would like, there's a lack of family and consumer science instruction at the ALC. These courses required for graduation are only offered through digital curriculum currently. And the last piece has to do with competency-based instruction. It's a learning progress is based on a student demonstrating their knowledge and mastery of the content standards rather than the amount of time they are physically present and work through every assignment in a traditional sense. So less seat-based and more competency-based model of assessing student mastery towards the required standards. In summary, the staff at the Area Learning Center has found the implementation of school improvement plan to be a rewarding but time-consuming process. All team members wish we could have had more time to meet, design, and implement effective interventions and best practices for instruction. I'm very proud of the dedication of the ALC staff towards this process. Their dedication is reflected in the fact that we are ahead of our initial implementation timeline. I will also just state that under that MERS team, they do invite community members in, and those community members represent Public Health, Otter Tail County Probation, Otter Tail County Human Services, and Young Life. So that is the support network for the students. Any questions about that report? Then I will transition to Mr. Kolbeck's report on the K-2 progress towards distance learning. And all the reports you'll hear from the principals really are designed to give you an up-to-date look at where they're at with the distance learning plans. Teachers at McKinley and Adams have been hard at work developing a model of instruction that will work well for young children. While teachers have been planning and learning new skills that will aid them in delivering distance learning, I would also like to commend our support staff for the great work they are doing providing childcare. Fortunately, there are electronic resources that make the delivery of distance learning manageable. Some staff have had more learning to do than others when it comes to the available resources, but all staff have taken on the challenge of learning new skills to meet their continued responsibility to provide instruction for students. Seesaw is a platform for student engagement that allows teachers and students to create and share information back and forth. This information can include drawings, pictures, and videos. Many of our staff are already using Seesaw in their classrooms, so we have relied heavily on those folks to train other staff during the past 5 work days. Seesaw will be a most vital app during this distance time of learning. Zoom is another platform in which our teachers have been receiving training. Zoom will allow for face-to-face meetings with individuals and groups of students. A lot of us this week have been holding grade level meetings using Zoom. The use of the Zoom app can create a continued feeling of community and connectedness between classmates and teachers. Teachers, while focusing on essential learner outcomes, have been planning daily everyday math lessons, along with daily reading lessons using our Treasures curriculum. Electronic resources came with the purchase of these curriculums, and they will be getting used more than ever in the upcoming days. There will be links to music and FIAD activities taught by specialist teachers, along with numerous other links to learning tools like Spelling City, IXL, Extra Math, Go Noodle, Prodigy, Brain Pop Junior, Pebble Go, Capstone Interactive eBooks, and Teachers Pay Teachers, to name a few. I am proud of our staff for how they have rallied together during this unprecedented time. This report is from Tindy Rund at Cleveland. And her format's a little different, but the information will be the same. In second grade, they will be relying on Seesaw and Zoom. Parents are familiar with the Family app and will become familiar with the Class app. In math, everyday math curriculum resources, Extra Math, and IXL Math. In language arts and reading, the Treasures curriculum with workbooks, vocabulary, and Spelling City. Third grade, Google Classroom and Zoom. Seesaw is used with parents already. A daily checklist that includes a math and reading activity. Math, everyday math curriculum resources. IXL link, which measures progress. Instructional video, everyday math practice. For language arts and reading, Treasures instructional activities. Epic for independent reading, which shows which books are read. Spelling City, IXL language arts for essential learning outcomes. And then under weekly other, science, art, handwriting, Go Noodle, journal entry. In fourth grade, Google Classroom and Zoom organized a week-by-week outlines with math, everyday math curriculum resources, IXL link, instruction, digital worksheet, and student journal. Language arts and reading, Treasures instructional activities, cross-curricular writing projects, online resources for independent reading, IXL, language arts for essential learning outcomes. And science, cross-curricular instructional activities with a weekly focus, science, language arts, art, math, journal activities, and instruction. Social studies, the TCI curriculum with continuing with condensed study of regions. Physical education, Google Classroom. Shape America, which is from a national organization, and teachers will post a weekly calendar of activities. And with music, that will be done through Google Classroom.
And that's Quaver, right? The curriculum that we have, the music curriculum?
I do not know the answer to that.
Okay. It is Quaver. That's what I thought, but I didn't hear Quaver said, so I just wanted to check. Okay.
That's the main one, if I can get. They do use some other ones. Michelle has some other ones over there.
Thank you.
And this is from Dean Monkey at KSS. And this is, again, a little different format, but we'll cover very much the same kind of content. The quarter still ends on this Thursday, March 26th. Progress reports and grades will be out by Friday, April 3rd. Completion of the high school registration for next year and both middle school and high school master schedules is on hold for now, but we have all the information that we need to proceed. Testing season is suspended for this year. Our fellow principals are doing some great work. They are all rock stars. Shane and Derek coordinating the plan for distance learning at the high school level, setting general expectations, a weekly grid for instruction to spread out live sessions, at least one live recorded session per course, and 3 office hours per week. Must be able to tape each session, no penalty for late work. Okay to get work out there now from teachers to spread out the exposure. Offer time for staff and department meetings over Zoom each week. An example, every Thursday from 3 to 4 p.m. high school staff meeting over Zoom. John and Brad coordinating the plan for distance learning at the middle school level, helping with daycare coordination, 8 children at KSS today. Plenty of great help. Meeting with 5, 6, 7, 8 to brainstorm, offer ideas, guidance, and clear expectations. Ryan is coordinating the continuation for IQ Academy instructional services and offering training sessions through IQ staff members for Zoom and other platforms. The rollout of the meal plan program, special thanks to Tindy, Kristen, and Mr. Lance Wells, is fantastic. He and his kitchen staff have met every challenge. The tech office has been amazing. Close to 1,000 Chromebooks arrived, and the breakdown of existing carts and Chromebooks to be made available based on need first. Starting tomorrow, park bus zone, wait for a lull, distribution in the gold gym, $25 insurance for both rest of this year and also next year, $15 for families that qualify for free and reduced lunch. Our teaching staff is ready and prepared to work from home if that is ordered. Our teachers have learned from each other in these past few days and are prepared for this change. Colleagues have helped each other to a level maybe never seen before. Our high school ALC staff is ready and has worked tremendously hard to meet the needs of their students in this new setting. Special thanks to Kristen Toole for her coordination at the ALC. So any questions about the KSS report? And I guess at this point, mine will just be a little bit more general in nature on the district side. So very proud of the district staff and community. People have rolled their sleeves up and dug in to learn new things, develop new skills, apply the skills and knowledge that they already had in ways that are different in context. We have had people support each other, praise each other, give a little morale booster when needed. We have had people that are doing roles for this job to meet the needs of students and families that don't even remotely resemble the jobs that they were hired to perform on behalf of the district. And so with that said, we have truly traveled miles in the last week. It's hard to believe that a week ago from yesterday at 10 a.m., Governor Walz made an announcement that as of March 30th, should the need arise, we will move to a distance learning model to educate our students indefinitely. And I can assure you that over and over again, the staff in this district have risen to meet the challenge, and we should all be extremely proud of their work. We served over 1,200 meals today. Over probably 200 of them were delivered door to door. We're providing daycare services to approximately 50 students a day. You've heard about the deployment of the Chromebooks and the amount of thought that has gone into place in terms of policy, procedure, the logistics of even getting information and things to people. We don't want a lot of traffic into the buildings. We're trying to avoid, for our sake and theirs, a lot of interpersonal contact as we exchange maybe it's textbooks or items that were left behind in the classroom or the Chromebooks themselves. So every piece of it is nuanced with the knowledge that this is a highly contagious disease that's going right now. And we need to look at different ways to deliver services and support the needs of our students and community. So we are ready to launch this thing. We have some skills still to kind of fine tune and polish here for the remainder of the week, but we will be ready to go, and I think we will deliver a great curriculum with fidelity and authenticity, with the focus of the essential learning outcomes for each class to carry us through the remainder of the school year. So with that, certainly open to any questions you might have.
Any questions from the board?
I know I had kind of thrown this out there to you at one point last week, but just taking a look at the social and emotional health of the students and parents, and within the PE program or the health and wellness aspect of it, I'm assuming they'll be looking at something like that. Maybe it's not quite there yet, but just some daily check-ins or something built in where students will have to reflect in a positive way, or I don't know.
Yeah, those pieces are important because there's a lot of stress on families and children
Yeah.
right now.
Just the social disconnect to just make sure they know somebody's thinking about them and checking in.
It's a very good point. We have asked the counseling department in particular to take a good look at that. I know Nate Bailey had put some things together this morning, and Beth Monkey had posted some resources, but that needs to continue. It wasn't designed to just be a one-shot and we're good to go. We need to continue to reach out, and hopefully we maintain clear communication channels with our families to help help us identify what their needs are and how we can continue to support them.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Thank you, Superintendent. Okay, moving on to our general consent items. We have the minutes for the March 9th board meeting. Personnel, Lane Jenke.
And just a few things under certified staff hires. Diane Anderson, special ed teacher at IQ Academy, just increases some services starting March 9th. Jennifer Carlson, she'll be a long-term elementary teacher, substitute for our Adams School. It's actually grade 2. And that's actually effective date, and that's correction 23rd. Today is the start date of that through May 8th. I too want to just take just a few moments and sincerely thank our staff for their outstanding work. It's just miracles truly have happened over the last short week, and it's just been amazing to be part of that team. So just thank you to everyone that has gone above and beyond. It's just been an unbelievable experience, and something that I hope we never have to do again, but at the same time, it's really, we've really shined in this situation, and I'm just really proud to be part of the Fergus Falls Public Schools. Oh, one last thing, the intent to negotiate request from Fergus Falls Paraeducators Association, and I would recommend all these for board approval.
Thank you, Elaine. Do I have a motion to approve the general consent items?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, general consent items passed. There is no old business. Moving on to new business, we have the FY curriculum recommendations. Before I entertain that recommendations, the actual recommendations from the curriculum review is under just the, I did one question on the review, so on line item, I just wanted to verify something on the recommendations. We're taking them as just recommendations at this point in time, and then implementation would happen after that. Is that correct?
On the curriculum adoption?
Yes.
My understanding is that they're recommendations, and we would approve those recommendations for implementation.
Okay.
Yes.
That would be my understanding.
Then
But the one, I have a question on they're recommending a cell coordinator.
Yeah.
And that is not the recommendation that's coming out of one of the strategic planning committees. So that's, I question whether.
We discussed it, but we didn't say we needed to hire someone, right?
Right.
So you and I are on that committee.
The curriculum strategic planning committee has recommended it not a cell coordinator, but instead across the curriculum, across the board curriculum that everyone would use, and not having a social emotional learning coordinator that would visit from class to class. So I have a question about that.
So to me, what you would be voting on tonight is the recommendation limited to the adoption of the McGraw-Hill Reading Wonders curriculum.
Okay.
So let's have the motions.
Can I say that specifically?
Yes.
Because I don't want to.
Well, and I think we are implementing, my only question was just to put, and maybe on that bullet point, if everybody has it, that bullet point 3, to just review after 1 year? Does that make sense? To be able to review it?
That was my other question. Are we locked in for 8 years with this? If we say yes, is that,
This curriculum?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is,
Once we buy it.
yeah,
So-
Oh, yeah.
The other thing I wanted to ask about was, I know that the curriculum review, and she sent out the email, and we all looked at it, but we didn't really finish our strategic planning in that meeting, with that curriculum committee yet. And so is it wise to adopt a curriculum before we've even finished the work of that committee? Is it a have to thing?
It's time for a
Is it-
new language arts
I
curriculum.
think the wonders is, I think,
Right, but it's just a question, I'm not trying to be combative or any, I just want to, is that okay, to do, are we jumping the gun, or is it absolutely needed before that work is done with that committee?
The social study, or the language arts curriculum, I don't feel that that is the main point of the curriculum strategic planning committee.
No, I mean, the committee was to develop kind of a test, not a test, but like, this is what we consider when we're looking at all the curriculum, these 5 or 6 bullet points. And, I mean, the curriculum looks great, the language arts one looks great, but will we regret not waiting on that curriculum choice? And if you guys don't think so, I mean, it's just a question, so.
I don't think our work on the strategic plan would exclude adopting and purchasing the Wonders materials and from my point of view, I thought that's all we are voting on. The additional recommendations, I don't see that as being something that we could have a blanket endorsement of.
sure.
You know what I mean? Because it's
Right,
a
yeah.
whole
Right.
variety of facets.
Correct.
And some of it doesn't even, as recognized by Carrie, some of it isn't even the English department's purview. So I would, like you suggested, Steve, recommend that we endorse a motion to purchase the Wonders curriculum as identified in the packet with the information that we've received. So I'm suggesting the motion only be to purchase the curriculum,
Okay.
but not the entirety of the recommendations that were put before us tonight. Does that make sense, or am I missing the boat?
That
Nope,
makes sense.
nope, it makes sense. Yep. So I'm gonna have Steve is making that motion,
And exactly what the motion is?
is
just-
to adopt the Wonders K-6 Language Arts Reading Curriculum. And we have a second by Melanie. Is there any discussion?
I think the other thing, I mean, they're talking about reviewing the social emotional learning after the first year and then hiring an SEL teacher, but the review should kind of determine whether you hire the person or not.
Correct, that's what I
So
was
it's
stating.
kinda
in the
getting the
recommend- Yeah, I
Cart
thought they
ahead of
would
the
be
horse
together.
type thing. And we're already doing the Chromebooks thing, so those are already being taken care of. So it's kind of a potpourri of things. The other one here is, there's another financial issue. You're budgeting to update and differentiate classroom libraries, and again, to me, that's, it's associated with curriculum, but it's still a standalone thing to approve a budget item, I think, rather than just tossing it in with everything else.
Well,
So.
the social emotional learning, we all agreed on the committee that, we should try to find something that is uniform, through most, if not all of the grades. And that, to me, seems like that should be a separate approval.
Right, that's
item,
what I'm
like you're
saying.
saying, yeah, and it's just,
Absolutely.
it's really, really important that we get that right.
I just want to go on record saying, I think the cursive handwriting thing is awesome. I think to me, it's, I want our kids to learn to write cursive and be able to read cursive, because there are going to be times where it's going to be like a foreign language to them to read what their grandparents wrote, or even some of their parents wrote, so.
I really like what she's saying about the cognitive benefits of it as well.
Mhm.
Not that it just looks nice, it's actually like,
There is a
it's good for your brain.
hand-eye brain coordination
Yeah.
thing that goes there, yeah.
For sure.
But I'm not suggesting we add to the motion, I'm just throwing that
No,
out.
that's,
Thank you.
okay, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. And then item number 2 is the resolution regarding online enrollment. Whereas Minnesota Statute 124D.095 provides an online learning provider may limit enrollment if the provider's school board or board of directors adopts by resolution specific standards for accepting and rejecting student application. And whereas the Fergus Falls Public Schools Independent School District 544 has determined that students' academic achievement would be compromised if they enroll in an online course after a specific date, therefore be it resolved that the school board of Fergus Falls ISD sets March 24, 2020 as the IQ Academy enrollment deadline for grades K through 5 and limit overall enrollment to 1,000 online students in IQ Academy for the 2019-2020 school year. Will somebody offer that resolution and move for its adoption?
I'll offer the resolution and move for its adoption.
And a second, please.
I'll second that.
Second. Okay. Discussion. Superintendent Drake, do you want to just talk a little bit about it first?
Yes, this was really, so earlier this year, we set a date where we wouldn't enroll students in IQ Academy after that. I don't know if it's just people looking for other options. We certainly think that COVID-19 is playing a role in this, but the demand for enrollment into IQ Academy, if we don't cap it at 1,000, is going to exceed our staffing to be able to provide quality service and instruction. So that's why Mr. Johnson came to us and really recommended that based on those factors, and to preserve the quality of the work that's already being done with the students enrolled now, that it be capped at 1,000.
What's our number now as this?
We're right there.
Gotta be right there, yeah.
Yeah.
And we've gone up quite a bit then in the last few weeks.
I thought we were right around 975.
We were pretty high at the last
Yeah.
time I heard a report.
Any other further discussion on that?
Fingertips there.
Clerk, roll call, please.
All right. Natalie Knutson.
Yes.
Melanie Cole.
Yes.
Matthew Lemke.
Yes.
Missy Hermes, yes. Stephen Vigasa.
Yes.
Kirby Anderson.
Yes.
The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Item number 3 is the Fergus Falls School Board Policy 565, Acceptable Use Policy Agreement for Student Electronic Device. Superintendent Drake, do you want to speak on this?
So the tech department has meetings with area tech specialists. I think those are done on a monthly basis. Quarterly?
Well, depends on the meeting we have.
And so they really were privy to the policies that other districts have already put in place. And they have gone through these with the fine-tooth comb and kind of picked the best pieces out there from what their colleagues have told you or told them are working effectively. And as a result of that work and those discussions, they have put this plan in place. Essentially, in a very, very condensed version, it identifies that the equipment continues to be in the sole ownership of the district. We can look at it, we can see how it's being used anytime we want. We have software that allows us to track the use of it. We have software that can disable the unit should it be stolen. It gives families an opportunity to buy some optional insurance at either $25 or $15 if you're free and reduced. That would cover the last 2 months of this year and all of next year, but again, it's optional. Families do not take that and there are damages to the equipment. It would be their sole responsibility to reimburse the district either the repair costs or the replacement costs of the unit. There's also information in the packet about the care and treatment of the device, what to do and what not to do. There's information for parents on the internet use and that they should play an active role in monitoring their children's use of the device. It does go through our content filter, but it's still something that the adults should be monitoring as well. Mike, if you don't mind, if I'm missing anything, feel free to chime in.
Biggest thing for you guys to be aware of is the content filter we moved to will allow our content filter rules, which you guys told us to use, which is basically block pornography, keep us HIPAA compliant. And that's all we're really blocking. But that will also work when they're at home. You know, I was uncomfortable, and most of my teammates in the tech department were also uncomfortable sending school-owned equipment home without it being ensured that those kind of websites were not accessible on that equipment. The classroom teacher with some of the software that we have on them, and that's one of the reasons that document also says you will use school equipment in the one-to-one phase of this, is then the teacher can track his or her students' usage 24/7. Passing the buck off of our department.
Any other questions?
Is there any other, are we concerned at all about that there are some families that won't be able to even come up with that $15? Especially now when there are a lot of businesses that are closed and the projected unemployment rate is, it's expected to go up. Now, I understand that you're talking about for the rest of this year and all of next year. I'm concerned that we have families in our district that aren't even going to be able to come up with that $15. And I don't want them to be on the hook for a computer that somebody drops, because that stuff happens.
What would the alternative be, Missy?
I don't know. But making people pay $15,
It's 25 or 15, 15
Yeah.
if they qualify.
yeah, if they're
for
on free and
reduced
reduced,
lunch.
yep.
And it is important, just so everyone understands this, it is by the device, so not per family.
Right. So
You
if
have
we have
4
3
kids,
kids,
that's
it's
$60.
$45, yeah.
It'd be my thought then, if a family does need to conscientiously object to that they have the opportunity to speak to the principal for whatever grade level or building that their child is in, and that those situations be considered on an individual basis. But for us to blanketly excuse the fee is not prudent use of our responsibility, taxpayer dollars. It's a awfully good deal should your child bang up their computer and damage it. So the price isn't onerous in and of itself. That's a reasonable fee. It's tough times, but I think if we can commit to reviewing each family's circumstances if needed, then I think we would be fair about it.
And I kind of wonder how many people would object to the $25. I mean, if you, like you said, case by case, considered waiving the fee, it would take some effort on the family's part to contact the school about that, so the people that are serious, they'd have to have some a real reason, for it. So that way you would deter the people who don't actually need to waive the fee. And I mean, it's basically our own insurance pool. We need that money to cover any device. There will be devices that break, and I'm curious to see how many actually get broken in the first year. Just the data part of me wants to know, is the 25 too much? Is it not enough? Depending on how many we end up replacing. So first years.
And another thought is that possibly we could develop a Otter Angel account for technology.
That's what I was
We'd have
just
it for
thinking.
lunch. Maybe that's another piece that we could reach out to the community to see if we could start some type of, not only for the fee for the device itself, but possibly Wi-Fi connection, things like that, that are other needs that the family may have. So just another thought that we could maybe implement in this process.
Do we have data back? I know that survey went out to parents. Do we have data back yet on how many people needed? Just off, I'm kind of putting you on the spot, sorry, but it's like off the top of your head, do you have an idea, either a number or a percentage?
I thought there were around 40 families
That
that
needed
would
Wi-Fi
access.
or?
That's Wi-Fi access, I believe.
Right, are we looking for, what are you looking for?
How many people don't have any internet access at home would be?
That's roughly about 50.
Okay.
There was 9 respondents that said they don't have nobody supplies that neighborhood.
Right, it's a dead zone.
And other ones said, we just don't, there is internet available, we just don't subscribe. And we do have a listing, there are a lot of resources for those that are free and reduced to get very good pricing. But they have to initiate, and when they pick up their Chromebooks tomorrow, they will be getting a sheet that lists all the different vendors
Awesome.
and if they have a free and reduced program or not.
Sure.
Nice.
Any other discussion? Okay, can I get a motion to accept the policy as presented?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion on it?
Hey, Mike, and you mentioned now that you're running the content filter on the devices now. So, but we still have the content filter on our routers in here. So if we bring outside devices like what we have, or what the students might bring in to this building, does it still go
Between
through?
now and June 1st, you are correct.
Okay.
Were you done, Gary?
No, what happens June 1st?
We are switching to a company called GoGuardian,
Okay.
which is the piece that gives all the tools that the teachers need to see their students remotely, screens
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Right,
And that's all cloud-based.
sure.
Presently, through brick and mortar buildings, all traffic goes through our firewall,
Yeah.
which has a content filter subscription to it.
Yep.
That firewall is getting replaced this summer because it's really old. And because of GoGuardian's content filter scenario, we won't be filtering directly locally anymore. It'll all be cloud-based.
Okay.
That is not to say that a hardwired computer that is not affiliated with GoGuardian or a guest coming into the building, they will still be covered by the GoGuardian content filter when they're on Otternet or whether they're plugged into a network jack.
Or on their phones even.
Right.
Okay.
Well, on their phones, on our Wi-Fi.
Correct.
They can be in our building and have cellular service. and
Sure, they can
Yeah.
turn off the
Yep.
the setting, I get that, yeah, and just run off of their provider. Okay. All right, thank
So
you.
we're fully SIPA compliant.
Okay, thank you.
I guess one last comment I wanted to make is that I've heard parents have commented like, well, I don't need this, I've got a device at home, I'm not going to come and get it. And I would just encourage people to still get the Chromebook that's issued to their kid because of the ability for the teachers to monitor activity, and as well as we have then a uniform standardized device that we know will work with the content being pushed out to the kids. I don't know if it was Jesse or something that said it's not fun to have to spend an hour on the phone trying to install Flash or something on some random Windows version. Just get the Chromebook. We paid for it. Let's just use it, and that's my comment, I guess.
Scared the heck out of us, though.
Well, I'll second that. I used to work in IT in my prior life, and your tech people end up spending 80% of their time working on the 15% of the computers that are not compliant.
Right.
So it's a lose-lose proposition.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, policy passes. Item number 4 is our GASB 75, other post-employment benefits study agreement with, is it Heidi or Heidi? Hildy, thank you.
Hildy, yes.
For consulting services effective July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2020. 2021.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah.
Let's change that to 1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh, Blake, do you want to speak on this?
Well, we currently don't offer any OPEB benefits, So this is virtually an expensive way to tell us that we don't have it, and they evaluate it, and they send it back to us for auditing purposes. Auditors, they look for it, oh, you don't have any, okay. Then as long as they have it on file. So. Any questions?
I had one. On their travel expenses, they talked about transportation and lodging and everything, and then they talked about air travel, but I'm assuming that the consultants will be out of Minneapolis. That's where their headquarters are, is
Yes.
Eden Prairie, right?
Yes, I don't think they'll.
You gonna fly somebody in from Boston or?
No.
California?
No, this is all, everything is over the, online, so.
Oh, so there might not even be
There
any
might be some,
consulting
yeah.
expenses?
Yeah,
to come
travel
here.
expenses and whatnot, unless they have to come here, which I highly doubt it.
Okay.
But
Yeah, we
from
can
my
do it.
experience in the past, it was just, everything was online.
Okay, thank you.
And just to make a correction, the effective date is July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2022.
2022.
Yes.
Thank you. So do I have a motion first to approve the contract?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. And then item number 5 is just a notice, because of the times that we are in. Pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.021, all school board meetings could be held by teleconference, and that a decision would be made by one of the following, the school board chair, the superintendent, or the Fergus Falls School District's legal counsel, and would be communicated accordingly. And there's no action that needs to be taken. I just want the general public to know that that could take place at some point in time. And
So
hopefully it
if
doesn't.
we were to do that, what technology, what products would we use or?
Probably Zoom meeting.
Okay.
So not everybody could log in, the media could log in, and
Yep.
general public, so. And with that, I just want to say again on behalf of the board too, just a public thank you to our staff too. They have done a tremendous job. They have worked very, very hard, and I think I just want to echo what Superintendent Drake and Elaine Jenke has said, and also just to the general public, just I think the word to use is patience. Not everything that comes out goes perfectly, but I believe it will go well, and I think just to have some patience and we'll get through this together, and yeah, and so thank you for that. So following this regular school board meeting, we will go into a work session to talk with concerning R.A. Morton, and then FY21 budget, and then update on COVID-19. So our next regular school board meeting will be Monday, April 13th at 5:15 p.m. It is scheduled to be in the art community room, but it might be here in the media center. So at Kennedy Secondary School.
Or online, yeah.
It might be teleconference.
Yeah, and it might be teleconference, so we will see.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. With that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do we have a
Second.
Second, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? We are adjourned.